published by Mrs. T. Gomati, Pravagam Publications, Salem 636003, Tamil Nadu, India. Who am I is the most popular and important question in the spiritual world. People have tried to approach this important question in different perspectives. Even though the approaches by various individuals differ, the basic truth remains the same. People listening to these various theories often misinterpret them. Once I went to Ooty on an excursion trip when I was a student. That was the first time I visited a hill station. I went out to the market to buy few items. I also took a bottle in hand to buy coconut oil. There were no sachets those days. I gave the bottle to the shopkeeper and asked him to fill it with coconut oil, but he laughed at it and returned the bottle back to me. I was surprised and asked him if he did not have it in his stock. With a smile on his face, he said he very much had it in his stock. I was confused with his response. He then gave a small piece of banana leaf with a little bit of coconut oil paste on that. I then understood that oil gets solidified in a paste form in hill stations because of the constant cold weather prevailing there. I had asked for coconut oil and he also gave me exactly what I had asked. But we both were not on the same terms, even though we were referring to the same item. It shows that we have to approach things in the right perspective if we have to understand them in the correct way. Scientists talk about survival of the fittest. It says that the fittest or the strongest will survive and the weakest will die down. Weakest to die and strongest to survive is a common theory which can be applied to various aspects. Let us assume we have some items to be distributed among a number of people. The number of people who are in need of these items are 10 times more than the number of items available in hand. This leads to a situation where people start competing over each other to grab those items. And the stronger people will succeed in their attempt. The weaker ones will not. Intelligence and knowledge is also a measure of strength. People use this power to succeed over others. There are some competitive examinations. The number of jobs available may be 100, but there may be thousands of people attending those exams and compete for the 100 open positions. People can win over this by their sheer knowledge and intelligence. Survival of the fittest is a common rule in everything and everywhere. But the situation will be totally different within a family. In a family of a husband, wife, and children, who is the strongest? Of course, it is the parents. They are stronger in both physique and mental state. Children are weaker in all aspects. Now, who do you think will get importance to enjoy any special benefits or to possess a special item? Of course, it will be the children. The theory of survival of the fittest does not apply in this situation. In a society, people are worried only about themselves and their comfort and preference, whereas at home, people live for others and they sacrifice their comfort for others' sake. Here, the ego I loses its importance and tends to underplay itself. The ego I is the problem and is the root cause of all problems. Problems seem to exist in every corner of our society. There is so much of resistance and violence. The whole world looks like a battlefield. And the egoistic I is the basic reason for all these happenings. People tend to think that they are perfect and others are not. And they insist others in following what they consider right. This is the basic problem, and this ego I is the main driver for all our activities. It also decides all our actions and behavior. So, it is very important to answer these questions. What is this I? What is the basis of this ego I? Why is this problematic? Why this remains the main driver for all our actions? All sages and gurus have touched upon this I in some way or the other. Who am I is the core philosophy of Ramana Maharishi, and used this term as his method of teaching. This term became very popular across the world. This term not only made him popular, but also the place where he lived, Tiruvannamalai, popular. This term or question still lives in the mind of people and attracts them towards Ramana Ashram. Even after Ramana Maharishi died. This became such a popular term and food for thought for a lot of them. J. Krishnamurti also touched upon this subject in his own style. He observed this with a different perspective, using this statement, "The observer is the observed." Even our Vedas mention various important sutras about I. One of the important sutras is Aham Brahmasmi. It means I am the God, I am everything, I am Brahman. All our spiritual scriptures have been mentioning that we are the Atma in our basic innocent state. I is not a body or mind. I is a pure, immortal Atma. There are two contradicting theories. Is I the Atma or Brahman or God? Or is this just an egocentric state? Is this called Maya? And is this the reason for all our problems? Both these theories seem to be contradicting each other, leaving us confused as to which one we should consider. Let us consider an example. Let us say we are in dreams, and we dream like we are going to some place. It could be Tiruvannamalai. We then visit Ramana Ashram, Girivalam, visit the hills and the temple. We do several other things in our dreams. But all these are not real. It makes us believe that it is happening really in front of us. Until we wake up, we are completely made to believe Whatever is happening is real, and we even participate and respond to various situations in the dream state. All the people we meet and the places we visit are completely made up of our own dreams. The one and only reason for the events happening in our dreams is our thoughts. Dreams are made up of our own thoughts. Thoughts emerging during our sleep are termed as dreams. Thoughts occur during sleep as well, and they are called dreams. Thought processes occurring during our wakeful state are usually called thoughts, and thought processes occurring during our sleep are called dreams. All events are occurring in those thought processes, those dreams. We are able to recognize our presence during dreams, and we also get engaged into various activities in those dreams. We see ourselves as the observer or the seer. We also see the observed or seen, that is, things, people, places. The ego I is present, and the actions performed by I is also present. All these are made up of our own thoughts. Both the seer or observer and the seen or observed is made up of our own thoughts. Our thoughts take two different forms: the seer and the actions. We play a full-fledged role in the whole story until the dream ends. In an instance, we play the role of a person going to Ramana ashram. In another instance, a person going to the hills, a person going to the temple, and then again a person usually chatting with his friends. Whatever it may be, we don't see ourselves as the person dreaming till we are awake. The reality is that we are the person dreaming. This is our real state, but we get to know about this only after we come out of the dream. Until we are in dreams, we see ourselves as a character in the dream story. We will not see ourselves as the dreamer who is responsible for the whole creation of dreams. In reality, the dreamer is the creator of dreams, and the characters, places occurring in his dreams. All the characters, places, people represent the dreamer. The dreamer is hidden behind all the characters, places, people, and things, etc. in the dreams. We see ourselves limited within a boundary. Whatever activities the dreamer is involved in, he sees himself as a related character accordingly. It is within a certain boundary where he chooses a character relating to the activities happening. We used to attend exams during school days. We will be given marks for each paper accordingly. Let's say we score 70 in English, 80 in maths, and 90 in science. Though the scores will be referred as 70, 80, and 90 only, but there is an implied element here. Scoring 70 actually means that we have secured 70 out of the total 100 marks. Similarly, 80 out of 100 and 90 out of 100. This implied total score of 100 is present behind all the scores that we talked about. Similarly, all our vision and experiences indirectly reflect inside us. When we see our mother, it reflects indirectly inside us. So, at the instant when we see our mother, we also consider ourselves as her son in the same instant. We don't see ourselves directly as a son or a daughter. When we see our mother, we automatically consider ourselves and start behaving like a son. When we see our wife, we change our position as a husband and start behaving like that. Similar to how a score of 60 implies a total score of 100. The same way, whatever things we see, we consider ourselves as the corresponding seer. A seer gets formed within us according to the seen object or person. The observed object or person creates a relevant observer in us. The observer reflects itself as an observer, and that is why this observer keeps taking different roles according to the situation. The observed object is not the same every time. It keeps changing every instant, and hence the observer also undergoes the change. Experiences keep changing every moment, and hence the one who is experiencing also changes every moment. In dreams, though, the dreamer is the core reason for all his dreams. The dreamer does not explicitly reveal this himself. Similarly, though our Atma is the core reason for all that is happening during our wakeful state, it does not reveal itself explicitly. You can see so many types of pictures on the movie screen. But if you take away the screen, no picture can be seen. So only the screen is real. All the pictures reflecting on the screen are just shadow objects. They are not real, but still we can see only the pictures and objects. Even though the screen is the basis, we don't get to see the screens. We see the pictures imposed on the screen. Only the temporary events come to our attention. If we mistake these temporary events for a screen, it will be a wrong idea. The movie and screen are different. There is no problem for the screen. The problem occurs only in the movies. The fight between hero and villain is in the movie. There is no problem with the screen. Screen remains the same. There is absolutely no impact to the screen because of the movies played on them. Mind is the one which is explicitly visible to all of us. And the problem lies with this mind only. Atma forms the basis for this mind. It has been widely believed that if we realize that we are Atma, we can get freed from all our problems. How the screen is unaffected by the movies played on them. Likewise, Atma has no problem, irrespective of things going on in the mind. Though Atma realization seems to be a correct solution, it does not seem practical. This is because we have not seen people who have done so and got rid of all their problems. Nobody has claimed so far that he has realized his Atma. And because of that, he has got freed from all his problems. Some people say they have realized, but then they again contradict their own statements later. All this creates confusion with the seekers. Ramana Maharishi says we should inquire and realize that we are Atma. Only when we realize that we are Atma and when we get the vision of Atma, all our questions and confusion will end. Someone asked him to clarify on what is this Atma vision all about. He says, there is no Atma vision or Atma realization in reality. These are just words used for explaining the concept. The death of ignorance is termed as Atma vision or realization. We can't directly realize or visualize that we are Atma. Visualization of Atma is an impossible task. Will you believe if someone says that he will travel to sun, stay there for some time and be back? Likewise, Atma vision is also an impossible task. It is enough if we realize that our mind is a temporary phenomenon, and thoughts will keep emerging and dying on its own. This is what is referred as realization of Atma. We don't have to have a direct vision of Atma. Once our mind loses its strength, Atma emerges and establishes on its own. All solutions to problems are needed only for the mind, because all the problems are for the mind. Any attempt to directly realize or visualize Atma is like running behind a mirage. If someone climbs up to the 7th floor to get in touch with space, it is foolish. We are always in touch with the space, even when we are on the ground. All of us are inside the space. We don't have to go on the 7th floor to be in touch with space. Even though everything is a form of Atma, only mind is explicitly visible to us. All problems lie in the mind. How do we then get this resolved? We concluded that we can't solve these problems by directly trying to visualize Atma. So, what is the solution then? During my young age, I used to listen to J. Krishnamurti's speeches, and they impressed me a lot, as he used to convey the message in a simple way. Now we have so many of them who can convey the message in clear and simple language, but he was the pioneer. During the days of Buddha, it was Buddha who destroyed the old beliefs and brought in new and simple methods and conveyed the message clearly. He was the pioneer in his age. Likewise, J. Krishnamurti gave a new perspective and approach to the whole subject. He analyzed and tried to find a solution for all the problems and said, "Fear is the root of all our problems. If we understand fear, we can come out of all our problems. If we understand sorrow deeply, we can completely get rid of sorrow. Any unwanted ill feelings can be got over by understanding it deeply." He used to say, "If you listen and understand what I am talking about, you can be completely liberated and freed from all your problems while going back home." We felt Is this so simple? We have been fighting with this for years together, but we have not been able to get rid of. He says, if you understand this once clearly, then you can get rid of all your problems permanently. He clearly explains the root of all our problems and how to understand and tackle them as well, step by step. If we closely follow his method and understand the problem step by step, we get rid of all our problems and we will feel liberated. We immediately conclude that JK is right and feel happy that we have gotten rid of all our problems, as he explained. But the same problem comes back within few days. We start feeling that we wanted to get rid of sorrow, but it has come back again. Wanted to get rid of fear, and it has come back again. And wanted to get rid of all unwanted feelings, but all of them have come back. JK says that once we are freed, it will be a permanent liberation. But why is that not happening in our case? Lots of these doubts come to us. Maybe we have not understood it deep enough. Do we have to understand it in a much better and deeper way? Maybe our understanding is just on the surface level. We have to make it go deeper enough. We have to put some more efforts. Once when I was at a friend's house, I asked him for drinking water. Instead of bringing us a glass of water, he brings few tools to dig a well on our own. He shows us a place and asks us to dig deeper in the ground, create a well, and we can then take as much water as we like. What can we say if we are in such a situation? JK says that if one gets enlightened, all his problems will be solved. But we already know this. Enlightenment is the ultimate human state, and everyone knows that all worries and sorrow will end once enlightened. But how can enlightenment be a solution for small problems? Can we dig a well just to drink a glass of water? Of course, we will get water from the well, and of course, enlightenment will solve all our problems. But can we get enlightened by attending a session for an hour? So many of them have been trying for years together. Can we get enlightened in an hour? We get confused thinking like this. But I realized the truthfulness of this only when I got enlightened myself. I've realized that enlightenment is a very simple phenomenon, and whatever J.K. told is absolutely correct. Even though whatever J.K. has told is absolutely true, there seems to be a problem of communicating the message correctly. That should be the reason for people not able to grasp the message clearly. You can see his frustration in one of his speeches. I have been talking to you guys for 60 years, but you all have never seemed to have understood my point. At the same time, I have been talking about this only for the last 7 years, and more than 300 people have benefited so far. However, this is not only my effort. It is a joint effort of our unit. You must have seen relay running race. In a 1500-meter relay race, 3 people participate as a team. The first one runs 500 meters and hands the baton over to the second person. Then second person runs for another 500 meters and hands the baton over to the third person, and he finishes the last 500 meters lap. Even though the third person reaches the finish line, it was a joint effort, and the credit goes to all 3 of them. We have been searching for something, and hence our mind has always been in a seeking mode. If we are in a sorrow mood, we immediately start seeking for a sorrowless mood. If we are in a problem, we start seeking for a problem-less situation. This has been our nature so far. We expect all these to end and keep looking for a permanent solution to end all these sufferings. Our whole journey is based on this seeking mentality. This very seeking is the root of all our problems. If this very seeking is the cause of all our problems, then do we not have anything to seek for? Do we not have anything to achieve? Our seeking creates all our problems. We seek a sorrowless state, or we seek to attain bliss, or we seek to attain the state of Atma. We always keep seeking for something, except that the name of that keeps changing. The seeking remains constant. Seeking money, materials, and seeking enlightenment are one and the same. The seeking mindset remains the same. Seeking drives all our actions. Seeking is the reason for all our efforts, and seeking also brings us all the problems. As long as we expect an outcome or result, the seeking will continue. The true wisdom lies in understanding that we don't have to reach any end state. The term enlightenment referred here denotes a mindset where we understand that there is no end state to reach. However, we have to understand this completely in a convincing manner. We can't understand from others about milk unless we see and taste it ourselves. However detailed is the explanation of milk from others, we will not be able to understand unless we see it ourselves. Seeing it ourselves will give us the right understanding. We expect the same in the spiritual concepts as well. We make an assumption and create an image about the state that we need to reach. We then start seeking this experience within us. Only when we discover that we don't have any goal to reach shall we be able to ignore mind, that is, all our thoughts and feelings. Discovering within ourselves that there is no goal to be reached is not the same as tasting the milk ourselves and understanding about it. This is purely an intellectual understanding or discovery. This is very similar to solving a mathematical problem using our intellect, and this is very much a scientific approach. However, all other discoveries will not lead to liberation. When we discover and understand that we don't have anything else to do, liberation comes on its own, and we get freed from our mind. We refer this understanding as enlightenment, and the outcome of this as liberation. But when we start seeking for this enlightenment or liberation, it will not happen. Only when we put an end to our seeking of enlightenment or liberation, all our problems end. The very effort or struggle helps the problem to grow and stay alive. When we drop this effort or struggle, problems also die on their own. If there is a result based on our effort, then it seems to be acceptable and justified to us. But we are not able to believe or accept that there is a transformation happening when we just stay still and not do anything. Let us consider a musical instrument, for example, say a piano. There will be various reeds or keys on the instrument. Each key will produce a sound. And how much time do you think this sound will last for? It will only last for a fraction of a second and die on its own. But we try to drive that sound off by pressing that key again. Few electrical devices operate on this logic. It can be switched on when we press once and switched off when we press again. We seem to be applying the same logic and try to shut off the sound by pressing the key again. But here, the sound gets regenerated again. Similarly, all our problems emerge on their own, depending on the circumstances we are into. Depending on our nature and the circumstances we are in, certain thoughts or feelings emerge on their own, and all the life of these thoughts is just a fraction of a second. In our effort to drive them away, we give life to these thoughts and make them stay longer. If we don't make any effort to drive them away, those thoughts will die down on its own in a fraction of a second. We even come to know about a thought or a feeling only when they are on their way out. The moment we come to know about a thought or feeling, it actually dies down. But we mistake those thoughts to be permanently staying with us and start working towards driving them away. It is an unwanted effort and in vain, as the whole effort is to drive away a thought which is already on its way out. This is very similar to pulling emails which are already in the trash bin to inbox and trying to action on them. You must be aware of thunder striking during rainy season. Most of us get frightened at the noise of thunder striking, as we get a feeling that it is falling on us. But there is a message to be understood here. The thunder noise that you can hear can no way fall on you. You must have seen the lightning happening at the same time. A few seconds after the lightning strikes, we hear the thunder noise. If it has to fall on us, it should happen when the lightning strikes, and not when we hear the thunder noise. As the noise is just delayed by a few seconds. Light travels faster than sound, so we hear the thunder noise after everything is over. Sometimes in our dreams, we get stuck in a dangerous situation, and suddenly we wake up. Even though we have woken up and come out of the dream, our heart will beat faster for a few minutes and will take some time to come back to normalcy. Do we have to attend to this? Do we have to solve or come out of the dangerous situation we got stuck in our dreams? We don't have to do anything here, as the dream has already ended and we have woken up. Similarly, we get to know of all our problems, thoughts, feelings only when it is dead. All these are already finished and dead. The feelings, thoughts, lightning, etc. We get to know of them only after they are dead. We give life to these dead feelings by applying an effort to set right these. Our own struggle in setting things right leads to all the problems. We are doing an analysis into the feeling of I. We don't get a feeling of I during our sleep. We sense a feeling of I only when we are awake. We sense a feeling of I even in our dreams. We sense a state of duality, seer and the seen, in our dreams. This sense of duality exists even during our wakeful state. Both these are happening in our mind. We get a feeling of both the observer and the observed in our thoughts. We get this sense of duality in all our thoughts and feelings. You will not be able to find out a feeling or thought which does not have this duality factor. This duality is its very nature, and that is how it can be. We may wish to reach a state where I is totally absent. We may wish to experience an observed object without an observer being present. But this is completely against nature and impossible. As long as we have thoughts, the duality, observer, observed, and one who experiences experience will exist permanently. There is no possibility of taking away one of these. However, even a permanent existence of this duality is actually not a problem. So, what is the problem then? The problem comes only when we try to retain a specific experience or reject a specific experience. We want to retain pleasure and reject pain. We keep fighting towards this throughout our life. So, what is happening now? Who is fighting for or against our experiences, thoughts, feelings? Who is taking responsibility towards this act? The ego I is taking responsibility for this act. The observer takes responsibility towards this. The one who experiences takes responsibility for this act. By this act, the ego I gets strengthened. The observer grows stronger. The one who experiences grows stronger. This leads to one of them, either observer or observed, growing stronger than the other. And this leads to a constant struggle between them. The observer tries to restrict the observed and bring it under his control. The one who experiences tries to limit the experience and bring it under his control. A family has a father, mother, and children. Though all of them are individuals by themselves, still they share something in common. They all have a common vision. They sacrifice their personal desires for each other. But if everyone starts giving importance to their own personal wishes, they will lose their unity. This will lead to a constant struggle among them. In the same way, we try to correct our feelings and experiences. And this creates a big gap between the observer and observed. This struggle makes the ego I stronger, and this leads to all problems. When we understand that we don't have anything to do and nothing to achieve, it creates a harmony. This creates a harmony between the observer and the observed. This creates a harmony between the one who experiences and the experience. In reality, both the states are in harmony. The observer and observed are in harmony. The one who experiences and the experience are in harmony. The harmony is very similar to a harmony existing between a mother and her kid. Both get dissolved and in harmony with each other. Both the states start facing each other, looking at opposite directions. Only when we keep a psychological goal to reach. This struggle remains only because of our effort to correct our feelings and thoughts, or to retain certain feelings and thoughts. It is practically not possible to bring our thoughts and feelings under our control. This struggle is an endless act, and there is absolutely no need for such a struggle. When we don't consider a psychological target to reach, all our thoughts and feelings lose their strength. All our thoughts and feelings don't last beyond fraction of a second. Every thought emerge and die down on its own. Along with the experiences, the corresponding I who experiences also becomes a temporary phenomenon and keeps emerging and dying on its own. When the experiences lose importance, the I who experiences also loses importance. Everything goes in a flow, like a stream of water in a river. This leads to a situation where there is no permanent state. When our entire system goes in a free-flowing mode, it goes in harmony with the cosmic consciousness. No state will exist without this cosmic consciousness. The willingness to hold or retain something is not a good scientific approach as well. We all know about the 6 types of taste that exist: sweet, salt, hot, sour, bitter. We experience all these tastes using our tongue. The taste buds in our tongue give us an experience of a specific taste, depending on the nature of the food item we eat. If we eat a sweet dish, the taste buds give us an experience of a sweet taste. Similarly, we experience these 6 types of taste with the help of taste buds in our tongue. What happens if one of these tastes stay back permanently in our tongue? What if we are experiencing a sweet taste permanently? Or what if we experience a bitter taste permanently? It only means that there is a problem with our tongue. The natural functioning of tongue is to simply reflect the taste of the food item that we eat. It does not have any taste on its own. Similarly, our intellect is naturally innocent and has the capacity to learn and understand everything around us. It is in an innocent state. Our intellect functions in a neutral way, where all things are seen in a common platform. This is where all our experiences keep emerging and dying on its own. We get attached to the surface of our mind when we get into a struggle to correct or change our experiences. We get into a struggle with the waves in the sea. The waves can even get us drowned. But however big the wave is, if we simply bow down our head, it will simply go over the head without causing any problems. But if we get into a struggle, then it may drown us. Similarly, all our feelings and thoughts keep coming like the waves of a sea. These waves come and die down as well on their own. We don't have anything left to correct or change it. Only when we hold on to something and consider a goal to achieve, it gives rise to all our problems. Keeping a goal is the actual problem. The discovery of the fact that we don't have any goal to reach is considered as the true wisdom. This discovery is purely at the intellectual level. But this discovery is sufficient enough if it happens in our mind. If we discover and understand that 10 plus 2 is equal to 12, then that is sufficient. But if we have a doubt on this, then we may get confused, thinking it could be 11 or 13, etc. If we start doubting our own discovery, then it will not do its work. I had stored a number of my friend in my mobile phone, but it did not display his name when he called me. I could not understand why so, and went to a service center to check about this. He then checked and rectified the problem. He then told me I had stored his number in 2 different names, and that's why it did not display the name. Once he removed one of the entries, it started displaying accurately. Similarly, there is nothing wrong in our discovery of truth, being at the intellectual level, but we should not introduce another opposing thought to the original thought. If we introduce a doubt about the concept, then it will not work. Once we discover that there is no goal to achieve, we should completely drop all our efforts. Even if we start thinking that there is something to achieve, then it will not work. When we discover that there is nothing to be achieved, that will be the last discovery that we will make. There is nothing to discover or known once we discover this truth. There is a term, stay still, in the spiritual world, but people have interpreted this wrongly as not doing any activity and remaining dull. Staying still is not meant for both the inner and outer living conditions. There is nothing to be done as far as our psychological state is concerned. There is no goal to reach for our psychological self. This understanding liberates us psychologically. Once we are liberated psychologically, our mind starts working in a different dimension. The mind which has been seeking so far will start functioning in a non-seeking mode. Once a friend of mine who had read my books called me over phone. He told me that he was going through my books and his mind suddenly stopped functioning. I asked him, How are you able to call me if your mind has stopped functioning? Your seeking mind has stopped seeking and it is now functioning in a different dimension. So you get a feeling that your mind has stopped functioning. This is the real nature and the right functioning of our mind. Mind starts functioning in a different dimension once our search ends. In this dimension of working, feelings and thoughts does not get stagnated. Everything moves on its own and purifies on its own. Even some of those feelings which have been troubling us for ages will die down on its own. This liberated internal state of mind will be helpful even in our external activities. This also helps us in doing our external tasks in a meticulous way. There are no good or bad feelings as far as our mind is concerned. The basic setup seems to be correct and necessary as well. We have seen some people playing musical instruments. We also get fascinated towards that and try to play by pressing a key on the instrument. But the sound will not be very pleasant and sometimes annoying. If we remove that key, thinking that specific key is having some problem, and try to press some other key, the same annoying sound will be heard. If we start pulling off all the keys one by one, there will be no musical instrument left then. All those keys are needed for a musical instrument. All types of feelings and thoughts are needed for our mind. To handle our external activities, all our feelings are needed in some way or the other. There is no qualitative difference, and there are no good and bad feelings as far as our mind is concerned. The problem lies in how we interpret them and handle them. Once we are liberated inside, we will also be able to handle our feelings and thoughts appropriately. Since all our thoughts and feelings emerge and die down on their own, we don't have to worry about any bad effects that ill thoughts or feelings can create. All those will be of appropriate use. When we act at the intellectual level, we get to know of which feelings to use in which situations appropriately. Once we are liberated inside, we will be left with no problem to be solved. Once we are liberated from the bondages of mind, even our external problems lose their strength. If a problematic, disturbing situation does not give rise to sorrow or worry, then it is no more a problem for us. This makes it easier for us to handle the external problems as well. All our experiences and feelings lose their importance. Once we understand that we don't have any goal to reach, when all our experiences lose their importance, the I who experiences also loses importance. Our whole setup goes into a different mode of functioning without the ego I. Our whole functioning forms part of the divine cosmic system. Thank you.